Hello, how's it going? Hope everybody's having a great day. I'm glad you're here. I had a whole other show planned to do for our first episode, and wouldn't you know it, it kind of fell through. So I totally switched gears, and you can call it what you want. I was going to talk about how to start your day off right and go through my whole morning routine and my meditation process and the whole bit, and how to feel good and everything. But I felt moved to go a different direction, I guess. I mean, the whole reason I started doing this, and just so you know, my name's Skip McDonald. I'm not a professional. I don't have any degrees. I don't consider myself educated in any of this stuff other than the School of Hard Knocks. I've been around the block. I'm 58. I've done a lot of living, and sometimes that's your best teacher is what I've found. But so what I'd like to talk about today is the whole reason I even started doing this or even thinking about this was to help people get through the grieving process. I've lost a lot of people in my life, and man, for a long time I couldn't even really talk about it, but that's probably the best thing to do is talk about it, and so I started this channel hoping that maybe, if I could help some people, help one person for that matter, just deal with the whole grieving process. It's terrible. I lost my dad when I was 12, so that really scarred me for a long time. Boy, I couldn't even really even talk about it. I couldn't even really talk about it till I was about 30. So it's just crazy that it haunted me all those years. But now here I am. I've dealt with so much other loss that I guess I've kind of figured some things out. And one of the things I figured out was it's not as bad as you think it is. I mean, losing somebody's not great. Obviously, we don't like that, but I don't know. It just to me, the last time I had the really hard grieving was I lost my mom about 3 years ago, and man, it really got me down. That was really tough to deal with, and in that process, I just kept praying. Yeah, I really didn't know. I've never been a super religious person, I just kept praying that I could feel better, because it was just it was so hard. And then I started praying to God that, if you'll heal me up, if you'll let me get through this and give me some strength to get back on my feet with it, I'll try to help other people with it, because it's just so tough. And so that's kind of where I'm at. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to talk about today, and hopefully you guys can throw some comments in there and give me your 2 cents. Maybe give me some other topics you'd like to talk about in the future. But that's kind of what I want to do, is talk about some tough things to deal with, but at the same time put a positive spin on it. And so my positive spin, I guess, on it is so it's all in your perspective and how you look at dealing with the loss. For me, I kind of look at it as a graduation of sorts, for lack of a better term. They always say, oh, they've gone to a better place. And I always thought, man, how do you know that? That you don't know that you don't know. We all are in the dark kind of about what happens after you die. And I guess I've just come to the conclusion, and through a lot of meditation, a lot of praying, a lot of talking to other people, that we're only here for a short time. So we're energy beings, and so our energy never goes away. And with that said, once we leave this body and return home, we're finally home. And everybody on the other side is welcoming and loving the fact that we're there. Finally, we graduated. That, again, that graduation thing. And so then I started thinking, you know, as far as a graduation goes, I remember being like a junior in high school, and you see the seniors graduating, and you're like, man, it's kind of sucks to see them go. You know, they're good friends and everything, but more power to them, man. They're out of here. I can't wait till I graduate. It's just like I can't come fast enough, you know. And so with that kind of being said, you know, that's kind of the analogy I give. And so then when you think about the grieving process of it, so if you're grieving, you're the junior in high school, you're left behind, and you're having a tough time dealing with it. Your friends are gone. Your best friend graduated, and so you're just like, man, they're not going to be here. You may shed a few tears. That's a grieving process. It's a small one, but it's in direct correlation to what we're talking about here. So then at the graduation party, you know, everybody after the graduation, you know, the guy that's graduating is on cloud 9. His feet ain't going to touch the ground for a month, and so it's like celebration time, you know. So let's just think he goes to his graduation party and shows up to some friend's house where there's a bunch of other graduates there and a bunch of underclassmen, and they're all there. And you see somebody, your best friend, sitting over in the corner, and they're crying. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with crying, because you have to do that. That's the grieving process. But now here we are in the celebration of the graduate, and you're still crying. So the graduate looks at you and says, hey man, I realize this is tough on you or whatever, but I'm happy as can be. This is so awesome. I finally made it. How am I supposed to enjoy this if you're my best friend sitting over here in the corner and you're crying? I mean, it just kind of, for me, it just kind of puts things in perspective. You know, like my best friend would have told me, you know, dry it up, man. Let's go. Knock it off. You know, it's get over that. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here forever. But at the same time, I'm not going back to that school. I'm done with that. I'm moving on. And that's kind of the same analogy I have with the whole death experience and what people go through as far as, you know, they're moving on. They've left this earthly body, this human body. This is not, we all know it's temporary. So it's like you know, it's expected. We're all going to pass away sooner or later. But it's just such a hard thing to deal with, you know, when it happens to somebody close to you. And now, like I said, this morning I was going to talk to you about, you know, how to start your day off right and your positive thoughts. And that's super important too. And we'll get to that down the road. Meditation's a big part of it. And meditation, the word itself, has like a whole stigma behind it. So you can call it what you want. But prayer, just being still. I usually do it first thing in the morning. But what I think all of that does is it kind of gives you, like I said, we're all energy beings. So you can have high energy, you can have low energy. If you have high energy, it's when you're happy. Like that graduate, the happiest you can be, man. Feet ain't touching the ground. It's life is good. When that kind of energy is happening, it's hard for the little things in life to get you down. You know, they just kind of roll right off your back. You don't really care. You walk out to your car and you got a flat tire, big deal. You know, who cares? It's just a flat. But when you have that low energy, things are so easy to attack you, and they get through your armor. You know, that flat tire turns into a ruin your day type crisis. And I think, you know, with the internet, one of the other reasons why I started this channel was because there's so much negativity out there everywhere you look. I mean, you can look on any news, but if you just look through your feed, the algorithm puts through things that you look at all the time. So you can look at your feed and see, are you being in a positive direction or are you being in a negative direction? And like I was just looking the other day, usually within the first sentence or the title of the video, you can tell whether it's negative or positive. And there's just so much negative garbage out there. People on trying to get clicks and likes and shares and all that, man, that's irrelevant. That really doesn't make any difference to me. I tend to move away from videos that start asking you to watch till the end, or or whatever, man. They all do their own little spin or whatever, but they're all geared the same way. They want to try and get more whatever, but it all ends up being negative at the end of the day. And so I was hoping I could come out here and just put a positive spin on some things and have some good conversation. So it's important that you guys chime in and give me some comments, give me some insights on what you've gone through, some topics that you'd like to talk about. I mean, like I said, I've done a little bit of living. I've been here for 58 years, and I've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and it seems like you learn the most when the world knocks you down a little bit. You might be up for a while, but that's just the nature of things, and that's what we're all about. We're all part of nature, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. If I can get your input, I'd love to have some great conversations with people, and it doesn't have to be about grief. We can talk about anything. I'm pretty knowledgeable in music and food and just life in general. I've got I'm pretty, I wouldn't say well off as in financially, like I'm Mr. Got Rocks and I'm living in a mansion or anything like that. You can see right here I'm recording from a storage closet, basically, a makeshift studio, but I'm very wealthy in the fact that I've got grandkids and my kids and surrounded by love. And at the end of the day, for me, that's my driving force with everything in life is love. It's all about love. And just to tie it with the grieving thing, that's really what it's all about. That's why you grieve so hard, and why it's so tough is because you love somebody and they had love for you. So, like I said, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Hopefully we can have some discussions on this and help some people out. Everybody's better off for having talked about some things. And that's part of what helps you get through the grieving process. But I'm going to try and do as many videos as I can and just keep chipping away at it. Like I said, I kind of had a promise of God that, or whatever you want to call it, the creator, the source, whatever, that if I could get through the grieving process with my mom, that I would give back and try to help other people get through it, because it's just a tough process, and man, it really had me down. But I'm in a way better place now. It's just crazy. Like I said, the power of meditation was a huge part of what brought me around. Honestly, I can't even tell you why I started meditating, but that's what did it for me. And it's one of those processes where you can say, well, it doesn't do anything. I sit still and I clear my mind, I do all these things, and it doesn't do anything. And you're absolutely right, it doesn't do anything. But it's one of those subtle little things that when you look back after a month, you're going to say, it made my life better. When somebody says, well, how did it make it better? I don't know. I really don't know how it made it better, but it did. it's helped a bunch. You know, I used to go through bouts every year. Around the fall time, I would always go through a bout of depression, and I was super high anxiety. Man, I worried about everything. And while you still, you know, you're going to always have worries. That's just life. But it doesn't have to consume your every day and every thought. And that's kind of what I did. I mean, I was a worrywart. And all that went away through meditation. So, you know, like I said, hopefully you guys can chime in and give me some feedback, and we can have some great conversations. I'm going to keep trying to put these videos out, and like I said, hopefully they help somebody. So that's about all I got for now. So just keep looking for my videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.